Ryan Reynolds was frustrated with the corporate executives who dragged their feet in the production of Deadpool.
You must be quite pissed off that, you couldn't make that decision for yourself.
Yes, exactly. We tried, but the fans got it made. There's a great story, too, that this is totally fan-driven in every way.
I guess people who don't know, they'll be thinking, why wouldn't the studio want to make this movie? It's a superhero movie. Everyone loves that. And it is a superhero movie, and it's got all those things. Yeah.
What was the meeting like when you're discussing with Disney the jokes about Disney?
The fun story would be that Disney was just appalled at everything and was never going to let us do anything. But that's on one hand. On the other hand, money. They had a lot of faith in us to deliver and to self-govern. So yes, there's jokes in there that I personally cannot believe they let us.
And in fairness, because we were like the kind of good boy students turning in our script every once in a while, and every time we sent a script, we were like kind of waiting, and the pushback never came. And it became clear that on this movie, funny wins.
Really, there was one joke, one line that they asked me to take out.
When I was on set, I was like, there's no way that's going to be it.
Yeah. I have a joke about Hugh that I couldn't believe he let me say in the movie. So that passes. I was like, wow, he let.
Ryan Reynolds is reportedly furious with Disney CEO Bob Iger, turning what should have been a major victory for Marvel into an all-out battle. Instead of celebrating the record-breaking success of Deadpool and Wolverine, Reynolds and the creative team find themselves in a heated dispute with Disney over the future of the Deadpool franchise. The conflict has escalated to the point where Reynolds is even threatening to walk away from Marvel entirely. The highly anticipated Deadpool and Wolverine shattered box office records, soaring past $1.3 billion worldwide. It wasn't just a financial triumph, it was a game changer for both Marvel and Disney. The film's massive success proved that R-rated, edgy superhero films have a huge audience, with fans embracing the bold, unfiltered storytelling. However, behind the scenes, tensions are boiling over, casting uncertainty on what's next for the Merc with a Mouth. Critics widely praised Deadpool and Wolverine, but more importantly, the film's success solidified Ryan Reynolds, Sean Levy, and the entire creative team as dominant power players in the Hollywood superhero landscape. Reynolds, the driving force behind Deadpool's meteoric rise, saw this as the perfect opportunity for expansion. He believed Disney would reinvest the massive profits into growing the Deadpool universe, introducing more X-Men characters, and setting the stage for the fan-demanded Deadpool-centric crossovers. However, Disney executives had different plans. Instead of funneling the earnings back into the franchise, roughly 45% of the film's $1.3 billion revenue, nearly $600 million, was reportedly allocated to diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) projects. The concern wasn't DEI itself, but Disney's track record. Many of the company's DEI-driven films have struggled, with critics pointing out that they often prioritize messaging over storytelling. Recent examples include the Little Mermaid live-action remake, which faced backlash and struggled to break even, and Marvel's Eternals, a star-studded film that failed to resonate with audiences. This pattern made Reynolds and the Deadpool team uneasy. They feared that Disney was leveraging Deadpool's success to fund projects that didn't align with what audiences actually wanted, rather than reinvesting in the franchise that had just shattered box office records.
How much did you actually write?
I wrote on every Deadpool movie.
Right, it's okay. I know you can't spell, so it's hard to write when you can't spell.
Well, I mean, pictures go a long way. Simple grunts. And also just talking. Wouldn't it be cool if we, do that kind of stuff, right? Yeah.
But he actually, I can tell you, he really did write this with Sean and the other writers, and he's an incredible, incredible writer.
I'm not one of the great romantics, but it was...
And a generous writer, you really are. Do you like writing?
I do. One of the scariest things I've ever done in my entire life is writing for you. Wolverine, I got a legacy there that is one of the most iconic legacies in all comics.
Ryan Reynolds wasn't just the face of Deadpool, he was its heart and soul. Alongside director Sean Levy and longtime writing partners Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, he had built Deadpool into a brand that was irreverent, edgy, and unapologetically unique. However, Disney's push to soften Deadpool's tone with more inclusive messaging sparked immediate conflict. The Big Four, Ryan, Sean, Rhett, and Paul, took a firm stand against Disney's attempts to interfere. They frequently clashed with CEO Bob Iger and other top executives, determined to protect Deadpool's identity. But with every script review, Disney's DI team reportedly pushed for a more family-friendly approach, urging the inclusion of social justice themes, identity-focused messaging, and a more diverse supporting cast. For a character like Deadpool, known for breaking the fourth wall, raunchy humor, and sharp-edged satire, these changes felt forced. The creative team feared that Disney was trying to reshape the franchise into something that didn't align with its core appeal, potentially alienating the very audience that had made Deadpool a billion-dollar success.
Short film about Deadpool was going to attach to Free Guy, and it was Deadpool interrogating the hunter who had killed Bambi's mom. And the rug pull of it, though, is that you think Deadpool's going to kill the hunter, but Deadpool's actually just a huge fan. He wants to know how he, too, can be as loathed as the hunter is in the Disney universe. And they just shut that down.
Bob Iger's involvement only escalated the tensions. Initially, he had assured Ryan Reynolds and his team that the success of Deadpool and Wolverine would pave the way for more ambitious Marvel projects. They even discussed expanding the Deadpool universe and potentially creating a dedicated R-rated branch for Marvel films. But when it came time to allocate funds, Iger's promises didn't materialize. Reynolds didn't stay silent. He publicly called out Disney for failing to honor their commitments, but Iger dismissed the claims, insisting that no explicit agreement had been made to reinvest Deadpool's earnings into Marvel. Instead, Disney funneled a significant portion of the profits into live-action remakes and other non-Marvel projects. For Reynolds and the Deadpool team, this wasn't just a financial decision. It felt like a betrayal. Rather than rewarding the franchise that had shattered box office records, Disney appeared to be siphoning Deadpool's success to fund projects that, in many cases, had underperformed. The conflict deepened, leaving the future of Deadpool in Marvel's hands, and Reynolds reconsidering his place in it.
Wolverine, if he got the chance to deliver the line.
That's bait. Don't take
Take that. No. How so?
Because you will be a meme, and then Bob Iger will show up at your house. You'll be neutralized by one of the people with blow darts.
That's true. So I shouldn't say the Wolverine would say, go yourself.
Yes, that's the stuff.
Yeah, boy!
One 4.5-minute interview ruined all of our careers.
Avengers!
Go yourself.
Yeah.
The tension wasn't just between Disney and Ryan Reynolds. Hugh Jackman was also feeling betrayed. His long-awaited return as Wolverine was supposed to mark the beginning of a grittier, more expansive X-Men universe. But when he saw Deadpool and Wolverine's massive earnings being redirected to fund projects like the controversial Snow White 2025 remake, he was furious. Reynolds didn't hold back either. Outraged by what he saw as a bait-and-switch, he began openly criticizing Disney, fueling speculation that he might walk away from Marvel altogether. Right now, he's set to star in up to 5 upcoming Marvel films, including a Deadpool vs. Wolverine sequel, X-Men crossovers, and potentially even an Avengers appearance. But his message is crystal clear. If Disney doesn't honor its commitments and reinvest in the Marvel projects they promised, he's ready to leave. If Reynolds walks, it won't just be a loss for Deadpool. It could be catastrophic for Disney's entire X-Men reboot. With fans already skeptical about the studio's handling of major franchises, losing the heart and soul of Deadpool could undermine Disney's efforts to bring the X-Men into the MCU, making it one of the biggest missteps in Marvel's history.
Love what you said about wanting to entertain audiences, critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means, and one could argue that sometimes it's used too liberally. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
Bob Iger has steered Disney toward a strategy that prioritizes diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, across nearly all of its film and TV content. To reinforce this vision, he reportedly brought in a high-paid DEI supervisor, rumored to have a 7-figure salary, alongside an entire team dedicated to ensuring that Disney's projects align with DEI principles. This department has been given significant influence, shaping everything from script development to casting decisions, and even reimagining classic characters and storylines to fit more inclusive narratives. Iger sees this as a crucial step for Disney's long-term growth, especially in an increasingly diverse world where audience expectations are shifting. However, this approach has sparked controversy among fans and creators alike. While some applaud Disney's commitment to inclusivity, others, including key figures like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, are concerned that the studio's focus on messaging is coming at the expense of storytelling. With tensions running high, the clash between creative freedom and corporate direction could have major implications for Disney's future, especially when it comes to the Deadpool and X-Men franchises. Disney's push for more varied representation has ignited fierce debate, particularly as funding has been redirected from established, highly successful franchises like Deadpool and Wolverine to projects with improving commercial appeal. The effects have been noticeable. Films like Strange World and the Willow TV series were heavily promoted as part of Disney's new inclusive direction, featuring diverse casts and progressive themes. However, both struggled at the box office and failed to gain traction on streaming platforms, costing Disney millions in lost revenue. The 2023 Haunted Mansion reboot was another high-profile disappointment, plagued by similar issues. Despite these setbacks, Bob Iger has doubled down, allocating even more resources to DEI initiatives, convinced that this strategy will pay off in the long term. However, this approach is facing increasing resistance within the industry. Critics argue that Disney is prioritizing representation over strong storytelling, risking the alienation of core audiences who value compelling narratives and well-developed characters above all else. Even within Disney, anonymous insiders have expressed concern that Iger may be overestimating the financial viability of these projects, especially as Disney's recent quarterly earnings have shown a decline in theatrical revenue despite multiple DEI-focused releases. Ryan Reynolds, who has openly supported diverse projects in the past, sees this as a misguided approach, especially when it comes to Deadpool. He has voiced concerns that forcing DEI elements into Deadpool for the sake of corporate messaging would feel unnatural and inauthentic, ultimately weakening the character. Deadpool's humor and appeal are rooted in pushing boundaries, breaking the fourth wall, and being irreverently politically incorrect. Attempting to reshape Deadpool into a vehicle for corporate diversity initiatives could erode the very qualities that made the franchise a billion-dollar juggernaut in the first place.
Deadpool was hired to watch over a man and keep him safe. Deadpool took a peek through his apartment window and saw a strange gentleman walk through his front door.
I hope it doesn't sound condescending. I'm really proud of them. It adds a whole other color to this kaleidoscopic wheel that is that company. I was surprised that they let us go hard on.
And we had about 8 years to get that script right. This one, they gave us about 8 months. So really, it was just more of a holy shit situation. Let's all hands on deck.
One clear example of this ongoing conflict emerged during script revisions for Deadpool and Wolverine. Disney executives reportedly proposed introducing a new sidekick for Deadpool, a younger, more diverse character aimed at appealing to Gen Z audiences. While the idea might have seemed positive on paper, its execution felt forced, with the character coming across more as a token addition than an organic part of the story. Ryan Reynolds and the creative team firmly rejected the suggestion, but the mere fact that Disney was willing to compromise Deadpool's tone for the sake of inclusion sent a clear message. DEI was now the priority, even at the risk of alienating the franchise's core fans. This ongoing creative battle has already begun to impact production. Delays in script approvals, last-minute rewrites, and disagreements over character arcs have created growing friction between the studio and the creative team. But at this point, the fight isn't just about Deadpool. The outcome could shape Disney's approach to its biggest franchises, including Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar. For Ryan Reynolds, this struggle has become about more than just protecting the integrity of one character. It's about the future of Marvel Studios as a whole. With many of the original Avengers stepping back and Phase 4 receiving mixed reviews, Reynolds sees Deadpool as a crucial opportunity to rejuvenate the franchise and set the tone for Marvel's next chapter. His vision is simple: keep Deadpool edgy and true to its roots while leveraging its success to reintroduce the X-Men and create a grittier, R-rated universe that can coexist with Marvel's more family-friendly films. However, Disney's emphasis on DEI-driven narratives is complicating these plans. Reynolds and his team have pitched several ideas for Deadpool 4 and a potential Deadpool vs. Wolverine spin-off, both exploring darker, more mature themes, exactly what longtime fans want. But Disney's top executives have pushed back, instead suggesting a more inclusive ensemble cast, the addition of social justice themes, and the softening of Deadpool's signature controversial humor. In response, Reynolds has reportedly begun rallying support from other creatives within Marvel. He has been in contact with key figures behind the Blade reboot and the upcoming Daredevil, Born Again series, both of which have also faced interference from Disney. His hope is that, by presenting a united front, they can convince the studio to carve out a dedicated space for mature Marvel content, free from the broader DI-driven agenda. So far, Bob Iger has resisted, fearing that creating a separate space for R-rated Marvel films could fracture the brand's identity. But the stakes couldn't be higher. Disney is now at a crossroads, caught between its commitment to DEI and its need to keep billion-dollar franchises like Marvel profitable. The decisions made in this battle will likely determine the future of not just Deadpool, but the entire X-Men reboot and the direction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe itself.
Of the three of you, have there been those additional phone calls after all this box office success at Marvel being like, so let's...
In the most loving way, because talk about the greatest uptown problem any human beings could have is, a studio like that saying, what's next, or how can we make something, else? And but this movie was made as a complete experience. It wasn't meant to be a commercial for another movie. It wasn't meant to be any of that stuff. And I think that there's I get a great deal of joy making a movie like that. But honestly, right in this moment, I have no idea if I'll ever wear that Deadpool suit again. And I hope I do, but I don't know. I mean, it's...
to service a next movie or to set up something in Avengers or to, really to their credit, neither Disney or Marvel ever asked us to service anything beyond one really satisfying self-contained story. And we made exactly that with their support. So as far as the future, time will tell.
It's no secret that Ryan Reynolds and Disney have been at odds recently, but what's really fueling the drama? At its core, it all comes down to creative control. Since day one, Reynolds has been the driving force behind the Deadpool franchise, not just as its lead actor, but as a key creative voice. He's been actively involved in the writing process, shaping Deadpool's unique brand of humor, sharp wit, and unapologetically dark tone. It's this creative vision that transformed Deadpool from a cult favorite into a global phenomenon, proving that R-rated superhero films could be both critically and commercially successful. Now, as Disney takes a more hands-on approach with its Marvel properties, Reynolds is facing increasing pushback on maintaining the franchise's signature edge. With the studio prioritizing a broader, more inclusive approach to its content, Deadpool has become a battleground between corporate mandates and artistic integrity. The stakes are high, and the outcome of this conflict could reshape not only Deadpool's future, but also the direction of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You said about wanting to entertain audiences, critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means, and one could argue that sometimes it's used too liberally. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
However, things became complicated when Disney took over Fox and acquired the rights to Deadpool. As a family-friendly company known for its PG-13 Marvel movies, Disney has a vastly different approach to filmmaking compared to the R-rated chaos that makes Deadpool so special. Since the acquisition, tensions have been brewing between Ryan Reynolds and Disney executives over how to handle the character's future. Disney, determined to push its diversity, equity, and inclusion (DI) initiatives, has been insisting on incorporating more socially conscious elements into Deadpool's story, something Ryan isn't entirely on board with. It's not that he's against DEI in general. In fact, he has supported numerous diverse projects in the past. But when it comes to Deadpool, he sees it differently. For him, this isn't about rejecting representation. It's about preserving the integrity of the franchise. Reynolds has watched other Disney projects struggle under the weight of forced messaging, with both fans and critics criticizing them for prioritizing social themes over strong storytelling. Take The Little Mermaid remake, for example, where the backlash often overshadowed the film itself. Or Snow White, 2025, which hasn't even been released yet but is already facing heavy criticism online. Reynolds fears Deadpool could suffer the same fate if Disney tries to reshape the franchise to fit a broader corporate agenda. The clash between artistic vision and studio mandates has now put Deadpool's future in limbo. Will Disney allow the franchise to stay true to its roots, or will it force changes that could alienate its core audience? For Reynolds, this isn't just another role. It's a fight to protect the character that he helped turn into a billion-dollar phenomenon.
Thing you've been writing for a while. Now we're here with Disney and a hard R.
I hope it doesn't sound condescending. I'm really proud of them. It adds a whole other color to this kaleidoscopic wheel that is that company. I was surprised that they let us go hard R, but I mean, there's no other way to do it. It really allowed us a lot of freedom to kind of do anything and everything in a world where anything and everything is possible. Korg, who was not my first choice, but apparently everyone else was too busy over on Disney Plus. Oh boy.
You know, shockingly, it would be the fun story would be that Disney was just appalled at everything, and
Stop it.
And Marvel couldn't believe, was never going to let us do anything. But that's on one hand. On the other hand, money really put them in a tough position. I think fairly, by superhero standards, superhero movie standards, quite responsibly. I mean, we pride ourselves on finishing on time, on budget or under budget, and
Hakuna Matata.
You know, delivering the movie exactly how we planned or wrote. When we wrote the script, like start to finish with all of our alt jokes, everything. So
if you were a showman, you would be the greatest.
That they sort of saw that, and that's a trust building exercise. So they had a lot of faith in us to deliver and to self-govern. Jokes in there that I personally cannot believe they let us.
Not really.
And in fairness, because we were like the kind of good boy students turning in our script every once in a while, and every time we send a script, we were like kind of waiting. And
I can gently tap the fourth wall too. The proposal.
Oh,
assuming that we were going to get in
or something.
trouble.
It was a very scary. Yeah, it was odd.
And the pushback never came, and it became clear that on this movie, funny wins.
Yeah.
Other projects, many of which have struggled at the box office. Ryan knows that Deadpool and Wolverine's massive success wasn't just a lucky break. It was the result of years of careful world building, fan engagement, and a commitment to keeping the character authentic. If Disney forces in elements that feel out of place, he fears it could damage Deadpool's reputation and hurt its long-term profitability. More than anything, Ryan wants to avoid a situation where fans feel like they're being preached to rather than simply enjoying a great movie. He understands that Deadpool thrives because of its edgy, self-aware humor, not because it serves as a vehicle for corporate messaging. If the studio pushes too hard in a direction that alienates the core audience, the fallout could be disastrous, both critically and financially. This isn't the first time Disney has clashed with creatives over its DEI-driven direction. In recent years, directors and actors have left projects frustrated by a studio that sometimes prioritizes checking diversity boxes over simply telling great stories. But what makes this situation different is that Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. He isn't just another actor in the franchise, he is the franchise. And without him, Disney knows Deadpool doesn't exist. Here's the kicker. Disney executives seem to be treating Reynolds less like a creative partner and more like a cash cow, not to expand Deadpool's universe, but to fund their other struggling projects. That's where the real battle lies. Ryan wants to ensure that Deadpool's success benefits Deadpool, not just Disney's broader corporate initiatives. And if Disney refuses to respect that, Reynolds has made it clear. He's willing to walk away, no matter how much money is on the table. Big plans for Reynolds, envisioning him as a central figure in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's future. But with tensions at an all-time high, those plans are now crumbling. Ryan's frustration stems from the fact that Deadpool has been a box office powerhouse, raking in over $1.5 billion globally from just 2 films. Yet instead of reinvesting that success into expanding Deadpool's universe, Disney has been using it as a piggy bank to fund DI-driven projects, films and shows that may not have the same built-in audience or commercial appeal. It's not that Ryan opposes diversity in storytelling. He's supported numerous diverse projects in the past. But he believes Disney is forcing representation into franchises where it doesn't naturally fit, prioritizing corporate messaging over fan expectations. And that's what's really irking him. He doesn't want Deadpool's hard-earned success being used to bankroll movies that Disney knows won't perform well, but are being greenlit for the sake of meeting social quotas. The situation has become so intense that Reynolds has actually walked away from 3 major Disney projects, not just any films, but massive Marvel productions that could have reshaped the entire X-Men and Deadpool universe. Without him, Disney is now scrambling to figure out what's next. With Reynolds at a crossroads and Disney unwilling to budge, the question remains, will Disney compromise and let Deadpool stay true to its roots, or will Ryan be forced to leave the franchise behind? If he walks, it could send shockwaves through the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, and possibly spell disaster for Disney's X-Men reboot before it even begins. Disney had huge plans to bring Deadpool into the main Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, starting with a string of crossovers involving other mutants and eventually leading into more ambitious team-ups. But when Disney started pushing for more DI elements to be added to these scripts, Ryan decided to step away. This wasn't just about the inclusion of diverse characters or storylines. Ryan has always been supportive of that. The problem was that Disney's approach felt forced and disconnected from what Deadpool is all about. Instead of letting the franchise naturally include diverse characters or themes, Disney wanted to shoehorn in elements that didn't fit the tone or the chaotic, anything-goes world of Deadpool. For example, Disney wanted to introduce completely new characters into the Deadpool storyline specifically to highlight underrepresented groups, but these additions didn't fit the established narrative. They wanted to feature serious themes around identity and social justice, important issues, no doubt, but it felt like they were putting the message ahead of the story. Reynolds feared this would make the movie feel disjointed and inauthentic, turning it into something that might alienate the core Deadpool audience. That's where the real disagreement started. Reynolds believes that Deadpool should be edgy, offensive, and over-the-top in its own way. The movie's appeal comes from its no-holds-barred style. Nothing is off-limits, and everyone is a target for Deadpool's biting humor. Trying to insert Disney's polished, DI-driven storytelling into that would be like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. But it's not just about Deadpool 4. Reynolds was supposed to lead the charge in Disney's larger plan to reboot the X-Men franchise. This included multiple Deadpool-related X-Men spin-offs, team-ups, and even projects that would have seen Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman, making more appearances. Disney had billions riding on these films, planning to use them as the foundation for Phase 6 and beyond. Ryan's involvement was crucial because he's been the face of Deadpool and a key player in getting fans excited about mutants joining the MCU. Now, with Ryan stepping away, Disney's entire X-Men reboot could be thrown into chaos. Without him, their plans for Deadpool and the larger mutant universe are suddenly uncertain. Fans are left wondering if Disney will compromise and let Deadpool stay true to its roots, or if they will stick to their DI-driven vision and risk losing one of Marvel's biggest stars.
Ryan Reynolds here with one of my best friends, Hugh Jackman. Hey, everyone. I'm so excited to be here promoting a movie that I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into. My character's name is Wade.
And you'll probably know my character's name.
Wait. Hold on. Back up. You were in the 1998 Disney original movie Tourist Trap?
What? No.
Then why did you just imply you were in it?
Oh, hold on. Sorry. What movie were you here to promote?
My star turn as Wade Early in a Disney original masterpiece, Tourist Trap. What movie did you think we're here to promote?
I'm out.
Micah, spicy. Wow. You forgot to do the little wand thing, Hugh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the little thing. Hey, can I like that?
Oh, yeah, I see what you've done there. So tune in to Tourist Trap on Disney Plus, or, maybe search it on YouTube. It had Oscar bridesmaid Paul Giamatti. I know another Oscar brides.
This sounds like a sensationalized and speculative take on the situation. While creative clashes are common in Hollywood, especially when a character as edgy as Deadpool transitions into Disney's family-friendly ecosystem, there is no verified information suggesting that Ryan Reynolds has pulled out of Marvel projects over DEI initiatives. Disney has been clear about keeping Deadpool R-rated, and Reynolds has remained heavily involved in shaping the character's future within the MCU. If there were real, large-scale conflicts leading to his departure, we'd likely see official statements from Marvel, Disney, or Reynolds himself rather than unverified online rumors. Would you like me to help rewrite this in a way that sticks to factual reporting while still making it engaging?